This is News 8 Now, this morning.
Well, unfortunately, the government doesn't exist to protect animals. The government cares more about corporate profit. There are no laws in place to protect these animals, so people have to act outside the law to save these animals' lives.
The need for food has actually risen in the area, so if we can provide healthy, sustainable food for people to help their lives, that's what we want to do.
Just for her to take in more than just the academics, since she got more comfortable with just the whole aspect of being away at college last year. Hopefully this year she can embrace more than just the academic piece.
Good morning, everyone. That was your morning eye opener. I'm Dua Esrar.
I'm Derek Sibley.
It is August 17th, 2023. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, and welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I was out a few days just because of a little sickness, but I'm back.
Yeah. Glad to have you back.
Hoping to end the week strong. Did you miss me, Derek?
I did, yes. I was in tears.
Oh.
Needed you. But
thank you so much. I'm so touched.
Of course, absolutely. It's not the same without Dua Esrar on the show. So.
It's Israr. Derek, you can't even say my
I thought I got it
name
right. I thought I had it right. Israr.
Israr.
Israr. That's what I said. Isn't
you
that
said
what I said?
Israr.
Oh, okay. They sound the same. They sound the same. I don't know.
I'm going back home.
I'm in trouble now. So
All right,
she
time
just,
for me to leave.
She just came back, and now she's mad at me. Gosh, I can never do anything right, I guess. Well, satellite and radar pictures showing that we do have some showers and some thunderstorms that moved through the Coulee region late last night. Now, they have since cleared the area this morning, but some of them did produce some gusty winds and some heavy rain that moved through. Right now, you can see we got mostly clear skies behind that front. Current temperatures are into the 60, 62 in Eau Claire, 67 in La Crosse, 61 in Winona, and right now in Sparta, you're currently at 64 degrees. Also do want to mention that we do have air quality alerts in effect for both Minnesota and Wisconsin. For Wisconsin, this is going to start now and then go until 6 a.m. on Monday. This is in effect from 11 p.m. Friday for Minnesota. So as we take a look from City Cam 8 in La Crosse, you can see things are looking pretty quiet and clear. Those conditions will continue throughout the day today with highs mainly into the 70s, making it much cooler here this time of the year from the backside of that front. But you can see on the allergy reports, everything is high for ragweed, weed, and mold. There has been some reports in the latest air sample of some other allergens out there, so just be aware of that here as you head out and about. I'll have a check on your dog walking forecast plus your weather forecast in a few minutes. Dua?
Thanks, Derek. Well, let's get to some news this morning. The school teacher accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a child pled not guilty in Eau Claire court. 57-year-old Jonathan Jaroki is charged with repeated sexual assault acts of a child in a school zone. He is also charged with child enticement in a school zone and causing mental harm to a child. According to the criminal complaint, the former Regis Catholic school teacher allegedly committed repeated sexual assault acts on a 12-year-old girl at Regis Middle School in 2018. The girl says Jaroki was her math and science teacher. She claims he routinely touched her under her clothing and forced her to perform oral sex at least once. Jaroki is currently out on a $100,000 signature bond. His next hearing is scheduled for February. La Crosse County Court is holding its first ever reverse waiver hearing. It will decide if the 16-year-old charged with killing his 4-year-old niece will move to juvenile court. The 16-year-old's attorneys have to prove 3 key factors before the court will consider sending his case back to the juvenile system. First, they have to show that the adult system is inadequate to address his needs. They also have to demonstrate that the seriousness of the case will not be jeopardized if it is moved back to juvenile court. Finally, they need to prove that a conviction in juvenile court could keep others from committing the same crime. Yesterday in court, the judge said expert testimony was only speaking towards the first factor.
To put him in the adult area allows all the full punishment available. If I don't, then the only thing I can do is hold him till he's 25. The argument is going to be that in and of itself depreciates the seriousness of this.
Judge Ramona Gonzalez ordered both prosecutors and defense attorneys to provide written arguments by August 29th for why the 16-year-old should or should not have his case sent to juvenile court. She will then turn around a ruling before he turns 17 at the start of next month. He is currently in the La Crosse County Jail on a $250,000 cash bond. The Trempealeau County Sheriff's Office says an unknown suspect or suspects broke into Olson Fur Farm in Independence several nights ago. They cut a hole in the chain link fence and released thousands of minks. A spokesperson for the North American Animal Liberation Press Office says an anonymous source sent them this video. He says other activists often send them videos like this and they share it on their website. The spokesman acknowledges the anonymous source is doing something illegal, but his organization believes third parties are justified.
Well, unfortunately, the government doesn't exist to protect animals. The government cares more about corporate profit. There are no laws in place to protect these animals, so people have to act outside the law to save these animals' lives.
Budenberg says this type of release could potentially shut down Olson Fur Farm. For him, an animal rights activist, that's a success. He says they care more about freeing the animals than following the law.
The Animal Liberation Front's not concerned about the law. We're concerned about sentience, justice, and bringing freedom to the innocent. The Animal Liberation Front will continue to free these animals and try to shut these businesses down. The end goal is the eradication of the fur industry, the eradication of legalized animal abuse.
But it's more inhumane to release the minks from certified farms into the wild. That's according to Chalice Hobbs, the executive director of the Fur Commission. His nonprofit oversees best practices in the mink fur industry. He says mink farms are family-run businesses that are routinely audited and are held to humane standards. He says activist groups are misinformed and argue releasing minks do more damage to an ecosystem and puts the minks' lives at risk. The Trempealeau County Sheriff's Office confirms about 3,000 minks are on the loose, and they do not know who cut the hole in the fence. Their investigation is ongoing. Yellow Corps' decision to shut down operations at the end of July is having a local impact. In Wisconsin, 261 people lost their jobs and 46 of them worked in Tomah. 9 workers in Eau Claire were also laid off. Yellow said in a letter to the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development that they anticipated laying off 22,000 employees nationwide. Yellow filed for bankruptcy on August 7th after years of financial struggles. Camping was banned at 2 more public spaces in the city of La Crosse. On Monday, the city of La Crosse's Board of Public Works decided to ban camping at the Pump House Regional Arts Center and the La Crosse Center. The decision was made after requests were made by the 2 centers due to vandalism, leaving garbage behind, and citing safety concerns for others at art events. At the moment, camping is currently permitted between the La Crosse Center and the Radisson Hotel. Safer Surface. La Crosse council leaders and community efforts have revamped a children's park playground. Crowley Park is transitioning from rubber chips to engineered wood chips. A UWL environmental studies student first looked into the negative impacts of rubber chips. She created a community group that shared her findings with the Grandview Emerson Neighborhood Association. That association then brought it to La Crosse's Common Council. One councilwoman says the data was shocking.
Temperatures of the rubber chips and the pour-in-place surfacing went up to 145 degrees and could easily burn, adults with tougher skin than children. It can burn children, it can burn pets.
The student research also found gases released from rubber chip surfaces are harmful to human health. The council says some parks with pour-and-play rubber surfaces are not due to be resurfaced, but the student research showed those surfaces are also harmful to humans. Residents are encouraged to bring concerns to the council. It's the talk of the table. Congressman Derek Van Orden has held a listening session about the new Farm Bill. Van Orden attended via Zoom, and the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee was present in person to respond to attendees. The session was standing room only as farmers showed up to explain what they would like to see in the new Farm Bill. Farmers were most concerned about the dairy industry losing business and crop insurance. Chairman Thompson explains why it's important to protect crop insurance and how they can continue to improve it.
Crop insurance is important because it allows you to pay enough bills that you can stay, not all your bills, but and it doesn't replace your profits, but it keeps you farming. And that's food security, right? We are looking at perhaps what can we do to incorporate some disaster relief into crop insurance. It would provide more certainty.
The chairman did say that the bipartisan farm bill is on track to be completed by the end of the year. Wayfar's drive-through package pickup service started back up at the food pantry's new location. The service is often for people with current Wayfar accounts that are over the age of 60 or have physical limitations. People with a referral from Wayfar staff for a special circumstance are also able to use service. The goal of the drive-through is to make picking up packages more accessible. Wayfar's operations manager explains why the service is needed now more than ever.
Need for food has actually risen in the area, so if we can provide healthy, sustainable food for people to help their lives, that's what we want to do.
Each package includes produce, breads, canned goods, frozen meats. Personal hygiene items are also included. A photo ID is required to use the drive-through pickup service. It will be open from today at noon, from 10 to noon. The outside walls of the lacrosse center may soon be getting a mural. A new proposal asks for an image of the sunken steamboat, the War Eagle, to be added on one of the center's exterior walls. The center board voted to study the idea before committing to anything. The War Eagle was active for 16 years. It caught fire and sank in 1870. The wreckage is still underwater. The War Eagle had been painted on the Lacor Electric Building downtown, but that building was demolished 5 years ago. It's a great week to be a Warrior. Winona State University is welcoming students back to campus. Students checked in yesterday for another year of learning. Incoming freshmen have a busy week of info sessions and walking tours to familiarize themselves with the school. Upperclassmen get to reunite with their friends. One parent says she's excited for her daughter to explore all sides of college life.
Just for her to take in more than just the academics, since she got more comfortable with just the whole aspect of being away at college last year. Hopefully this year she can embrace more than just the academic piece.
New Student Welcome Week lasts through Sunday. Fall classes begin next Monday. Well, still ahead on your morning news, it's an Aldi thing. The German grocery store chain is adding more stores after buying 2 competitors in Southeast U.S. And an insurance group has released new crash test results focused on backseat passengers. We will take a look at how some cars protect backseat passengers better than others. That and more is coming up this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. Augusta, Maine was all shook up this week. That's because Elvis impersonators from all over the country flocked to the small city to celebrate National Elvis Week. They were on a quest to break the Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of Elvis impersonators. The event was at the Augusta Civic Center, where the King of Rock and Roll held a concert in 1977. It will take time to determine whether the assembly broke the world record, but one thing is for sure, Augusta was far from lonesome Wednesday night.
Well, late last night, we did have a line of showers and some gusty thunderstorms that moved through thanks to a cold front, and now they have cleared the area this morning. We're looking nice and clear now with temperature readings into the 60s, 62 in Eau Claire, 67 in La Crosse. Winona's at 61, Sparta's at 64, and Viroqua currently at 62 degrees. I do want to mention here today for you as well, air quality alerts are in effect for Wisconsin and also towards the west in Minnesota. So make sure that you fall into that sensitive group category to limit yourself outside. Try to spend more time inside if you can. Current temperature readings are into the 70s. We got 77 degrees here this afternoon in Berry Mills and a high of 74 in West Salem here today. As we head south this afternoon, we're looking at high temperature readings into the mid 70s here as well. Looking at 74 today in Melrose and 73 in Winona. And as we head into the Chippewa Valley today, highs will be in the low 70s with a high of 73 degrees this afternoon in Eau Claire. Lots of sunshine here for us to enjoy this morning. Mostly sunny this afternoon. Clear skies are in the forecast as we head into early this evening. I'll have a check again on that full weather forecast in a few minutes, and we'll be talking about exactly when this heat wave will be arriving, because temperatures look to be getting pretty hot here in the coming days.
In your morning consumer news, grocery chain Aldi has acquired around 400 Winn-Dixie and Harvey's supermarkets in the U.S. The two chains are currently owned by parent company Southeastern Grocers. They are located throughout Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Some locations will be converted into Aldi stores, while others will continue on as Winn-Dixie or Harvey's locations under Aldi's management. According to Aldi, the deal will close in 2024. For the first quarter in 6 years, retail giant Target is reporting a decline in sales. The company says it saw a 5% sales drop for in-person shopping and a 10% drop online. Target share prices have dropped 27% in the last year. The decline comes as consumers are reducing their spending on things like home goods and clothes. Target also faced criticism from conservative groups over its Pride Month collection, which may have affected sales. The company says it won't back down from celebrating Pride in its merchandise. An insurance group is out with results of new crash tests that put a focus on backseat passengers. Haley Ott has the results.
You can see what happens to the outside of a car when hitting a barrier at 40 miles per hour. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety also looks at what happens inside during a crash. 7 mid-sized cars tested all received high marks for protecting the driver, but it was a different story in the back.
How did the cars perform at protecting the person in the back seat?
This is the disappointing part of the story. Only the Honda Accord achieved a good rating.
David Harkey is the president of the IIHS and says the Honda Accord did well at preventing injury to the test dummy. Compare that crash to another vehicle that received a poor rating. The head turns violently before slamming into the seat.
Experts say the reason many cars get a low grade is because seat belts in the back are not as good as the belts in the front.
In some vehicles, the back seat belt moved from the pelvis up to the abdomen, which can increase the risk of abdominal injuries. Harkey says seat belts in the back need to be more like those in the front, with better anchor points and a tension system that mitigates the force of the crash.
We want to see those belt technologies put in the rear seat. We really want to see that rear seat passenger protected and to keep them in that safe seating position during a crash.
Harkey says automakers are already designing those changes, which will be a safety upgrade for future vehicles.
Previous testing on SUVs and small cars also found most vehicles did not perform well at protecting backseat passengers. Well, that's it for your morning consumer news. Let's check in with Derek and get today's forecast.
All right, thanks for that, Duo. We are looking at clear skies here for us to work with this morning, as you can see right there behind me from City Cam 8 in La Crosse, seeing that glow here of the sunrise there in the distance. 67 degrees, west-northwest winds at 13 miles an hour. So a little on the breezy side. Meanwhile, in Eau Claire, you're at 62. Westerly winds now at 10 miles an hour. Visibility levels running nice there at 10 miles. Satellite radar picture is showing that we did have a line of showers and storms that moved through late last night, but ever since then it has cleared out. We're on the backside now of that cold front that did bring us all those thunderstorms, which is now positioned well to the east of us here currently. And back towards the west, we are looking at high pressure that's forecast to build in here over the coming days, keeping our weather pattern calm. Current temperature readings are into the 60s, 63 in Winona, 67 as we saw in La Crosse, 64 in Sparta now, 60 in Black River Falls, and 62 currently in Viroqua. And as we check your planner here today, we'll be at 66 at 7, 70 and mostly sunny by noon today. By 4 o'clock, I'm expecting sunny skies, 77 degrees, mostly clear skies as we head into the early this evening with temperatures at 69. Check out the forecast highs today, well into the 70s this afternoon. It's a little unseasonably cool for this time of the year thanks to that front that moved through, keeping our high temperatures well below average for this time of the year. I do want to mention too that we do have air quality alerts for both Wisconsin and Minnesota, so make sure that if you're going to be outside, if you fall into that sensor group category, limit yourself outside. Try to spend more time inside if you can. Take frequent breaks if you're going to be outside here too. So we got that northerly wind here for us to work with today. Slight chance of a shower possible for portions of the Chippewa Valley as we head into the rest of the morning, and also a slight chance as possible into the afternoon. But the majority of us, though, as you can see, are looking mainly quiet, and clear conditions will continue too as we head into tonight. A few passing clouds are possible as we head into tomorrow morning, and that trend may continue as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Partly cloudy skies there. We'll be increasing the clouds just a little bit here, looks like, as we head into tomorrow night. Things are going to start to turn pretty hot, though, as we head into this weekend, thanks to high pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's going to be building across the southern United States. And this is going to help keep our temperatures very hot. In fact, a massive heat wave could be on the way for the south and central United States. But as that high lifts towards the north, that heat wave is going to start to spread across the Midwest, and things are going to turn hot even here locally in the Coulee region. As a matter of fact, you'll see what we're dealing with here as we head into this weekend. Highs in the low 90s, low to mid 90s, as well as we head into next week under partly cloudy skies. Lows in the 60s and low 70s. Stay with us. We're back with much more news and weather still to come on News 8 Now this morning. For now, we're sending in a break with a look what happened on this day in history for August 17th. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Morning Blitz. Tonight, high school football is back. We've got a couple of games on the schedule before the main event, our new Friday Night Frenzy highlight show tomorrow, and I can't wait. A lot of talented football teams in our area. We will be out across the Coulee region getting highlights from different games each week. Last week, teams took to the field for scrimmages, a chance for their teams to get some live reps out on the field against different opponents. And for some guys like La Crosse Central's Antoine Hardy, it was much needed wake-up call ahead of week 1.
It was rocky from the start until after the scrimmage really woke us up about how intense we really need to be. And like I feel like since the scrimmage, we have been top level intense.
Well, Hardy says the team has been locked in all week, which is cement for some of the team's best practices. The Riverhawks are one of the teams starting the season off later tonight. They'll be taking on Eau Claire North one more time, as this is the last year of the long-time tradition. The game's set for 7 p.m. at UWL's Veterans Memorial Field. And the Packers got a healthy dose of Bill Belichick yesterday as his Patriots came into town. And the good news for the Packers, at least for now, there was no major scrum to report. It did get a little chippy towards the end of practice. The Packers got a look at the Belichick-led defense and offense, and what center Josh Myers described it as confusing. Similar to what they saw last year, they saw blitzes and pressures from guys in different jerseys, and from a young offense's perspective, any chance to gain game time experience is valuable.
When we're going against our defense, you don't want to hit those guys, hit our guys kind of like that, and we take care of each other when we see each other, so we'll kind of see each other and stop. But in this, you can really work your technique, you can work your hands.
I think it's just good to see a new defense, obviously for our defense, see a new offense, get new looks, go against new guys. Camp is a grind, and you're going against the same guys over and over again. I think, it kind of gets old.
It was also a longer practice with the Packers finding some success with the deep ball, most notably with Jordan Love finding Christian Watson, a connection Watson is loving so far in camp. And it will all build up to this Saturday night at Lambeau. The Packers and the Patriots square off in week 2 of the NFL's preseason. It's unsure if and how much Jordan Love will play, but another game means more meaningful snaps for a very young Green Bay team. And at the same exact time over in Minnesota, the Vikings will be hosting the Titans for their week 2 of the NFL preseason. Cousins did not see the field in week 1, and it will not be a surprise if he also sits out in week 2. That'll do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
You're watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
There is troubling new data about girls' mental health in Wisconsin. Catherine Merrick goes over some of the new data and what to keep in mind as your kids go back to school.
Nationwide, there is a youth mental health crisis.
It's an issue that's impacting many of our state's kids, hitting close to home, not just for us, but for those behind the research as well.
If we work with a lot of parents with lived experience, and when I hear them telling their stories, it brings back some of the things that we had to deal with in my home.
The latest data from the Wisconsin Office of Children's Mental Health show troubling numbers. Nearly half of Wisconsin's female high school students report feeling sad and hopeless nearly every day. That's because of many different reasons.
Kids identify for us that their mental health issues are aggravated by pressure to do well academically, pressure from social media, and they also are very concerned about climate change, about gun violence, and about the political divisiveness that is actually playing out in schools for them.
It's not one thing, it's a collection of 1,000 things.
Doctors at UW Health are looking at the patterns these girls experience on social media and are looking at how we can improve mental health when heading back to school.
We try to talk to them about trying to understand the intent of what people are posting and making choices about whether that content is working for you.
While this data is concerning, there are techniques parents can use to have these kind of conversations in their own home.
We know that when kids feel like they belong, they feel safe, that is fundamental to their well-being.
One of the top stressors that both male and female adolescents reported was school. If you or someone you know is having a mental health emergency, call the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. The CDC is reminding families with children going back to school to make sure their students are up to date on routine vaccinations. CDC Director Dr. Mandy Cohen was in Madison to help encourage parents to add vaccinations to their back to school lists.
I'm really impressed with the work folks are doing here in Madison, but I will say we're a little behind here in Wisconsin on getting our kids vaccinated.
According to the Wisconsin DHS, during the 2022-23 school year, nearly 90% of students met the minimum vaccination requirements. You can find out what vaccinations your children need by talking to your healthcare provider or visiting the CDC's immunization schedule page. It keeps you cool and hopefully look cool too. Window tints are popular accessories to put on cars, but some people are tinting their windows a little too much. Jeff Wagner explains the Minnesota law when it comes to window tint.
Why do people come in wanting to have their windows tinted?
Most of the time it's for aesthetics.
Jeff Moravec is the owner at Mobile Installation Services in Brooklyn Park, where customers order window tint to improve their car's look. But that low-profile image also serves a functional purpose.
It does block out a fair amount of heat and light, giving you a little more comfortable ride as well.
Do you think there's confusion out there on how much tint is actually allowed on cars in our state?
I think there's some confusion. We get asked on every tint job that we provide what the legal limits are.
I think, people are surprised. They don't know what the statutes are. They're confused what requirements are for a sedan versus an SUV or pickup truck.
The law differs by vehicle. For sedans, the front and rear windows are allowed a maximum of 50% tint, meaning 50% of light shines through. For SUVs, vans, and trucks, it's 50% on the front, but the back windows have no limit. The only universal rule is that no tint is allowed on front windshields.
Is there a test for it?
Yes. Every trooper has a tint meter in their vehicle.
While it might not look like it, most new cars have a slight amount of window tint built in.
So right here on your front windows, you're at 71%.
That means we have 71% of the light going through the window.
Correct.
Got it.
So now we'll test this one. Obviously a little bit darker. And now you're down to 26% of light being able to transmit through.
The windows on our work SUV passed the test.
And there's no limit on that.
But not this sedan outside Moravec's shop. It's only allowing 35% of light through the window.
Which is technically lower than the amount that would be allowed for a sedan in Minnesota.
A prescription would allow you to have a tint this dark.
If you have eye or skin sensitivities, a doctor's prescription can allow you to have tint beyond the legal limits, but if not, you could get a ticket.
If a person does insist that they are aware of what the law is and they still want to go darker, ultimately we're here to provide a service to that customer and give them what they want.
Lieutenant Robert Zach says the law is not in place to cramp your style, but for safety.
There's pedestrians walking across a sidewalk or a bicyclist, you might not see them, where had you not had that dark window tint, you'd be able to see them a lot easier.
Excessive tint is considered an equipment violation, not a moving violation. Be sure to check out your state's laws about window tint before putting it on. Now here's Derek to tell us what to expect for our morning commute.
Thanks for that, Duo. We are looking at those line of showers and the thunderstorms that moved through late last night on the satellite and radar loop, as you can see. A lot of it, though, in fact, everything has really cleared the area. We're looking much drier this morning, and temperatures you'll start to notice this afternoon will be much cooler. As of right now, we're currently into the 60s. Also want to mention, too, that we do have air quality alerts in effect for both Wisconsin and Minnesota towards the west of us here as well. So if you fall into that sensitive group category, limit yourself outside. Take those frequent breaks if you're going to be outside. Try to spend some time more indoors. 77 degrees is the high today for La Crosse. Partly cloudy skies and much cooler with a breezy wind at a 15 to 25 mile per hour range out of the northwest. 55 degrees tonight, clear skies, cooler temperatures, westerly winds light at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And as far as your mowing conditions go here this morning, 65 degrees at 8, 70, mostly sunny at noon, and then by 5 we turn sunny. Temperatures will be at a comfortable 75 degrees. So I think today may be a much better day to go ahead and mow before temperatures get too hot, which we'll talk about coming up in the weather forecast in a few minutes. Also coming up in our Buzz Report, Alec Baldwin may again be facing charges related to the 2021 firearm accident that killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. The reason why, just ahead on News 8 Now. Well, skies are looking mostly clear this morning, as you can see right there behind me from City Cam 8 in La Crosse. Current temperatures in La Crosse are at 67 degrees. West-northwest winds, a little breezy, 13 miles an hour, 5.22 feet is our current river stage in the Mississippi. 62 degrees now in Eau Claire. Westerly winds at around 10 miles an hour. Visibility levels are running crystal clear this morning. Now, we did have some showers and some thunderstorms that rolled through the Coulee region late last night. That was associated with this frontal boundary, now positioned to our east, and you can see a big line of showers and thunderstorms now positioned over the Great Lakes, entering western Michigan currently as we speak. Meanwhile, we're going to be watching this high pressure system back to the west. That's going to help keep our weather pattern nice and quiet here over the coming days. But over the coming days, it's going to be turning pretty hot. We'll talk about that here coming up in a bit. But as of right now, definitely not on the hot side this morning. Temperatures are into the 60s as you head outside, and temperatures warming up to 70 under mostly sunny skies at noon today, followed by 77 degrees and sunny skies at 4. 69 and mostly sunny will be in the forecast as we head into early this evening. Check out these forecast highs today behind the cold front that moved through. We're going to be dropping our highs into the 70s this afternoon, with that high of 73 in Eau Claire, and 77 will be our high temperature this afternoon in La Crosse. I do want to mention today as well that we do have air quality alerts going into effect for Wisconsin and back towards the west of Minnesota. So if you fall into that sensitive group category, make sure to limit yourself outside. Try to spend more time inside if you can, and also take frequent breaks if you absolutely have to be outside here as well. We're looking at that west-northwesterly wind here for today behind that front. Looking at some clouds, maybe a slight chance of a shower possible for portions of the Chippewa Valley by late morning. Same can be said as we head into this afternoon for portions of the area. But other than that, most of us, in fact, a lot of us really, are just going to be looking at mostly sunny and somewhat breezy conditions lasting through the day today, with clear skies in the forecast as we head into tonight. A few passing clouds could make their way into the Coulee region as we head into tomorrow morning. We may increase the clouds just a little bit as we head into tomorrow afternoon, with some increasing clouds likely again as we head into tomorrow night. All right, so I did mention that things will be turning pretty hot around here. I'm also watching this upper level high pressure system that's going to be building down across the south central United States, and that's going to be a key ingredient for some pretty hot temperatures to develop down there. That's important for us because it is forecast to move its way towards the north, and as a result of that, hot temperatures are going to be spreading across the Midwest in general. So we could be looking at a pretty significant heat wave developing, more than likely, across the Midwest, including us here in the Coulee region starting this weekend and also into next week, because you can see those highs jumping up into the low to mid 90s there. Meanwhile, lows into the 60s and low 70s.
In our morning Buzz Report, actor Alec Baldwin may once again face charges in connection to the fatal shooting on the set of the upcoming film Rust. The news comes after forensic testing found that Baldwin's revolver could only have discharged if the trigger was pulled. Baldwin has repeatedly denied pulling the trigger during the incident that killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. The actor was charged with involuntary manslaughter earlier this year. Those charges were dropped when evidence seemed to indicate that the prop gun had been tampered with.
I asked my dad to help me start this little program called the Imagination Library, where we give books to children from the time they're born. They get a book once a month, and it goes to their house with their little name on it.
Music legend Dolly Parton's Imagination Library has expanded to Washington State. The Grammy winner visited the Pacific Northwest to promote the project. She says she was inspired by her father, who didn't get an education growing up in rural Tennessee. Since Parton started the Imagination Library in 1995, it has given children more than 200 million books. A movie coming to theaters this weekend features a new twist on a classic Hollywood premise. Landscape with Invisible Hand is the story of an alien invasion, but this time, instead of looking to be taken to our leader, they want to lead over the world economy. A race of aliens travel to Earth and promise to end all work as well as cure all diseases. But things quickly go south and the human economy collapses. The film follows a young painter and his family as they pursue various schemes to try to survive in the new world. Landscape with Invisible Hand comes out this Friday and is rated R. Now, going back a little and talking about Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Are you familiar? I mean, everyone's familiar with the name Dolly Parton, but are you familiar with any of like her music and her movies?
Yeah, I couldn't name you a song in the movies, but yes, I'm about 99% certain that I've heard music, and I want to say that we've probably talked about Dolly Parton before in the show because we mentioned Dolly World.
We did.
Which is where I went, and that was a really cool park.
Yes, we did talk about it. She's in this amazing movie, Steel Magnolias.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you really want to just laugh, like
Okay.
have an amazing laugh. Steel Magnolias.
We'll have to
but
check
also
it out.
cry. But also cry. It's good.
Oh, so you're gonna cry too in that?
Yeah, you're gonna do everything.
Oh gosh. Okay. Spoiler alert. A little bit.
Well, before we have to break, it's time for today's Look Who's 8.
All right, so Carol is turning 88. Now, she enjoys time with her 5 kids, her 12 grandkids. She's also got 15 great-grandkids. So, wow.
Yeah,
Talk
never
about
a
strength.
dull moment for Carol.
Exactly. There you go, Carol.
Well, if you know a special someone turning 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88, we'd love to feature them.
That's right. Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for that Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website.
Stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your Morning News Now is up next. On your Morning News Now, the school teacher accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a child pled not guilty in Eau Claire court. 57-year-old Jonathan Jaroki is charged with repeated sexual assault of a child in a school zone. He is also charged with child enticement in a school zone and causing mental harm to a child. According to the criminal complaint, the former Regis Catholic school teacher allegedly committed repeated sexual assault acts on a 12-year-old girl at Regis Middle School in 2018. The girl says Jaroki was her math and science teacher. She claims he routinely touched her under her clothing and forced her to perform oral sex at least once. Jaroki is currently out on a $100,000 signature bond. His next hearing is scheduled for February. La Crosse County Court is holding its first ever reverse waiver hearing. It will decide if the 16-year-old charged with killing his 4-year-old niece will move to juvenile court. The 16-year-old's attorneys have to prove 3 key factors before the court will consider sending his case back to the juvenile system. First, they have to show that the adult system is inadequate to address his needs. They also have to demonstrate that the seriousness of the case will not be jeopardized if it is moved back to juvenile court. Finally, they need to prove that a conviction in juvenile court could keep others from committing the same crime. Today in court, the judge said expert testimony was only speaking towards the first factor.
To put him in the adult area allows all the full punishment available. If I don't, then the only thing I can do is hold him till he's 25. The argument is going to be that in and of itself depreciates the seriousness of it.
Judge Gonzalez ordered both prosecutors and defense attorneys to provide written arguments by August 29th for why the 16-year-old should or should not have his case sent to juvenile court. She will then turn around a ruling before the 16-year-old turns 17 at the start of next month. He is currently in the La Crosse County Jail on a $250,000 cash bond. Yellow Corps' decision to shut down operations at the end of July is having local impact. In Wisconsin, 261 people lost their jobs and 46 of them worked in Toma. 9 workers in Eau Claire were also laid off. Yellow said in a letter to the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development that they anticipated laying off 22,000 employees nationwide. Yellow filed for bankruptcy on August 7th after years of financial struggles. The outside walls of the La Crosse Center may soon be getting a mural. A new proposal asks for an image of the sunken steamboat, the War Eagle, to be added on one of the center's exterior walls. The center board voted to study the idea before committing to anything. The War Eagle was active for 16 years. It caught fire and sank in 1870. The wreckage is still underwater. The War Eagle had been painted on the Lackmore Electric Building downtown, but that building was demolished 5 years ago. It's a great week to be a Warrior. Winona State University is welcoming students back to campus. Students checked in yesterday for another year of learning. Incoming freshmen have a busy week of info sessions and walking tours to familiarize themselves with the school. Upperclassmen get to reunite with their friends. One parent says she's excited for her daughter to explore all sides of college life.
Just for her to take in more than just the academics, since she got more comfortable with just the whole aspect of being away at college last year. Hopefully this year she can embrace more than just the academic piece.
New Student Welcome Week lasts through Sunday. Fall classes begin next Monday.
And as you head out the door this morning, temperatures are into the 60s under those clear skies. We expect mostly sunny conditions to continue throughout the rest of your day today, and also much cooler with our highs into the mid-70s this afternoon. Here's a check now on your 8-day forecast. We're looking at highs in the low 80s for tomorrow under partly cloudy skies, but we've got a heat wave here coming this weekend and much of next week. Highs climb into the low to mid-90s, so get ready for that. Lows into the 60s and low 70s.
That heat wave is going to be a little rough.
It is going to be a little rough. So I would say if anybody has any of those outdoor plans, drink plenty of fluids, take frequent breaks, find some shade and AC. You'll definitely need that.
Definitely getting that August warmth now.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I mean, later is better than never.
Yeah, summer's probably going to end with a bang with some hot temperatures coming our way.
Yes. Final chance to soak in the sun. Final chances to do everything before the weather turns very cold and then you're kind of stuck at home.
We don't even want to talk about that.
We don't want to talk about that?
No. Not at all.
Not at all.
No. I'm looking forward to fall. I do like the fall season.
I do. Me too. The thing is, fall is such a short season.
It is. I know. Winter takes forever.
Yes. Well, thank you for watching News 8 Now this morning. We'll see you back here later today on News 8 Now at noon. Have a wonderful Thursday.